first chatty video. Today is National Day in Singapore, so I finally have time to film this little something that I've been meaning to put together for all my friends out there who have been asking me about my experience moving to Singapore. For those of you who don't know, I've actually been living and working in Singapore for a year already. I moved here June 2019 last year, so it's been one whole year. And currently I am working on my second job in Singapore. So I think a bit of background is that I've always wanted to move to Singapore. Like, my parents have always pushed me to try to come out here. Like, even after high school, like, they tried to get me to apply to JC or even like to uni here, but back then I wasn't really keen yet, to leave my friends and home to come over. And then like hearing about the school system being very competitive and all didn't attract me to come here. But other than that, I will come to Singapore almost every Christmas to spend time with my cousins here. So I will come with my grandma. So after graduating uni, I actually applied to some company, but I wasn't really like serious about it. And then after that, I just started my work back in Malaysia, and 1.5 years later, one of my friends actually moved out here, and she reached out to me because she said that there was opportunity in her company, in her department, that they were hiring someone specifically with my kind of background, and Malaysian or Singaporean. So I decided to just apply, and I was very lucky because in a way the job came to me, and it was quite a whirlwind going through that process, because I think the hiring process took like 2 weeks. It was like the fastest hiring process that I have encountered before. So my initial reaction was like, oh, this is completely Singapore, so efficient. So my hiring process took 2 weeks, and so like late April 2019, I submitted my resume on, I think it was a Tuesday, and then I got a call from my future potential manager on like a Thursday to see if I could fly down for an interview the next week. So I booked my flight that night, and then I flew in the next Thursday for the face-to-face interview. And then last minute they actually told me that my interview got bumped up from 5 p.m. to 1 p.m. and my flight was scheduled to land in Changi at 11:45. So the minute I touched down, I actually went straight to the HQ for the interview. So I changed into my interview clothes and shoes at Changi Airport's toilet, and then I went down to the office with like all my luggages and all my documents. But luckily my friend works there, so I was able to just leave my luggage like at her desk, and then I went for my interview. And then the interview was quite standard. It was about 2 hours. They asked you about the same things as most Malaysian HR hiring process will ask. So my stay in Singapore was supposed to be Thursday to Sunday. And then after the interview, I was just basically going on my little holiday in Singapore before coming back to Malaysia. And then on Saturday, I got the call from my manager, who told me unofficially that like I was hired, I got the job, and just to wait for HR to go through all the formal processes. So like 2 days only, and then like you from interview to getting a job, and then like to wrapping your head around that you have to move your whole entire life within like the next month. The adrenaline at this point was very high and very exciting because so many things happening at once. Within a week, the HR contacted me regarding pay expectations, available start dates, and then she forwarded me all the documents and forms to sign before I could work here. Even the offer letter was like an e-document, so all you needed to do was like open the attachment email, and then like they will prompt you to sign, and that's it. So over the Raya holidays, which was early June last year, I packed up everything and moved over. So my parents drove me down, so luckily we just packed everything into a car, then we drove down together. And the room that I was supposed to rent, the tenant had not moved out yet, so I was staying with my friend for a month. So I actually moved down slightly earlier to be able to settle in and as well as do my medical checkup. So after you sign all the papers, you get all the documentation, then you got the job, you still need to do a medical checkup for your visa to be approved. So the medical checkup normally takes a week or less to do and get the report out to your HR. But then for some reason, for my case, I got a call after a week and they said like my blood was contaminated, so they asked me to go down for a second blood test, which made the report come out late. So I actually started slightly later for work, but no problem. I was working in a bank for 6 months and basically for the entire of the probation period, and after that I didn't think there was the right career path for me, so I left and was like looking out for a different job. And luckily I got my current job offer about 2 months after. During these 2 months as well, I moved to a different place because my original landlord wanted the house back or the room back for his friend, something like that. But it was quite a hassle, but also a blessing in disguise because my first place was not ideal at all, and the new place was much nicer. I'm very happy with my new place. It's much nicer, way more accessible to my current workplace, and yeah, very happy. So if you can see the background, it's just actually my room. If you want a room tour, maybe one day. So between moving from my old place to my current place, I was actually homeless for about a month. So luckily I had a very nice friend who was going overseas for a business trip. So his place was going to be empty, so he let me spunk in there for the entire month to like have him house sit. Jan and Feb, I was basically just traveling back and forth between Singapore and KL because like I had a lot of time. So some of the jobs in Singapore require you to have qualifications, so you might be required to do that. Thankfully, my visa came through before the whole COVID thing started, so I was able to start my second job in March and be here before like the lockdowns and all. So very thankful. I'm no longer in the banking industry, and a lot of people have been asking me that, but I'm still within the finance industry. So yeah, so this is roughly my entire story of how I even came to be in Singapore. Actually had a few more questions regarding like how to manage what are the finances involved and how to look for accommodations and how to look for a job. But I will not be covering that in today's video, but I will be looking to film that soon rather than later. Yeah, I have all your questions compiled already, so I just need some time to be able to film because COVID has increased my workload. Good thing. So I hope today's video has been helpful, and then if you have any more questions, you can just leave them in the comments down below, or you can personally DM me. My questions normally just come from personal friends, and also I was trying to YouTube or Google like vlogs or videos about Malaysians' experience moving to Singapore because it happens quite often, but I didn't find anything. All the videos out there about moving and working in Singapore are all from expats, which is a completely different life. It's very different and especially now like a lot of my friends are also considering coming over and they have sincere questions that they want to know. So yeah, I hope this video helps. So happy National Day. Probably not National Day when you watch this, but thank you for watching and bye.